Hey, this is Ben back with the CubeTutor draft rankings of my multicolored section, my guild section. So this is the 50-some cards that are in a guild section. I have the hybrids included in here, the true two-color cards, but the lands are in a different section, so it's not those. So first up is a Johnny Vengeant, which I think is the best multicolored card, so I have no argument with that. Sorin at second is one of my favorite multicolored cards. In my draft circle, it's ranked much lower than this, not because of its power level, but just because of the colors it's in. It's in two colors, and people don't necessarily want to splash for it, even though I think it's an awesome planeswalker. And I have no argument seeing it here at 1-2. The best aggro one-drop, other than Goblin Guide, is Figure of Destiny, and seeing that here is no problem with that. Drafting it early and going into that archetype is sweet. I am surprised to see Venser at 4. That's very, very surprising, much higher than I would expect it. I was really close to cutting. I even cut Venser not too long ago, and I brought it back in just to give blue-white a fourth spell, a fourth card. And I got to do a draft with Venser, and I've still been on the fence about it for months, and I've almost cut it. But recently I got to do a draft with it, and I had Mana Vault, and I cast Venser on turn 2 multiple times with Mana Vault, and it was insane. Of course, there are many other uses with Venser. The Blink deck is its whole archetype, but I really don't support it outside of Venser. But it made me feel really good to see it come together with that, and I'm sold on Venser now. So it's going to be several years before they start reprinting more multicolored cards, so Venser is safe for a while. Boros Reckoner, surprised to see this one so high. I was recently able to cut Ball Lightning because I added Boros Reckoner and Bogart Ramgain, and both cards fit the triple red casting cost for the mono red deck. So I felt like I was comfortable to go ahead and just cut the Ball Lightning, which is much more of a niche archetype with the mono red. Kitchen Finks is awesome, so is Vindicate. How about Unburial Rites? That's a card that we recently added to just, because I've been going with an unbalanced gold section recently, and Unburial Rites was a recent addition. It's been great, especially in the gifts deck. It's been awesome, and just as a value card, it's been sweet. So I cannot say enough good things about Unburial Rites. I wouldn't run it over Sorin or Vindicate, but if you have space in your cube for just a card, no matter how you have to classify it, if you have to put in the black section or whatever, but I think at any size cube, if you support the Reanimate theme, Unburial Rites is a fun card. Valzeric is great. I see it going a lot later than this typically, but it's a great card, as is Geist of Saint Traft. Next 10, wow. This first time I've looked at this list. Sphinx of the Steel Wind at 11. Holy cow. It's a control finisher if you're in the Esper colors. Of course, Tinker and Reanimate great targets for that, and a lot of decks just flat out lose to this card. But I'm shocked to see it so high. And I think it's an 8-drop, and it's in 3 colors, and it's ranked 11 of all the guild cards, which is very surprising. Not surprised to see Lingering Souls up here. That's one of my personal favorites. I would have that actually higher on the list because I think it's just sweet. Deathrite Shaman, not everybody runs this card, and I think it's a shame because I would rank it almost as the first or second best Golgari card, just because it can just take over games. It's the one of the few one-drops in the whole cube that can just truly take over a game by itself. What else is here? Baleful Strix has been sweet, a good addition recently. I have been thinking about putting the Tezzerets back in, so maybe that's something worth revisiting. Because I feel like I have enough artifacts, especially with cards like Strix. Maybe I should try Mono Blue Tezzeret or try the Blue-Black one, just to see how they play out. It's been a while since I've had them, so maybe I could just throw them in the cube and just see how they get received. Tattermunge Maniac is not a very good aggro one-drop, but it's necessary, and so it's drafted. This is pretty high. Duskmantle Seer has been a great blue-black card. Not everybody runs it, but I've had that and Bob in the same deck, and even though it costs you a ton of life, just being able to draw extra cards is so strong. So, Bloodbraid Elf, surprised to see that. I think that's low. I think that's just an indictment on the red-green section, not necessarily on Bloodbraid Elf, because it's one of the best multicolored cards in the whole cube. Olivia's, wow, this is interesting for Olivia. I've been debating between Olivia and Falconwrath Aristocrat as to which card should be in that red-black 4-drop slot. I'm definitely going to test the Aristocrat. Maybe I cut Blightning, which is further down the list. Maybe I'll end up cutting Blightning for the Aristocrat. Maybe that makes more sense. But it's good to see Olivia in about the middle of the pack here. Neither Reliquary is a card I really question just because green-white is so deep and doesn't really need it. But it's been popular, and people have been playing it quite a bit. And even the people who haven't played it, when they see it get played, they're just really excited and they want to play it. So I feel like those are good reasons to keep a card in the cube, even if it is a guild card. Next 10, there's the Blighting I was discussing. Goreclan Rampager has been pretty sweet. I've been very happy with its play and being a combat trick, which there's just so few of in the cube. Like I don't run Briarhorn or Simic Charm, but just having Goreclan Rampager as a combat trick in colors that really want it has been great. I'm really not, the jury's not out. The jury's still out on Voice of Resurgence, so I'm not sure how good that's going to be. I have Electrolyze in as my last red-blue card. The first card I have out is Prophetic Bolt, and I just think the casting cost and the ability to hurt aggro, especially in the blue-red deck, is really key, and drawing a card is always nice. So I have Electrolyze in over Prophetic Bolt. I keep hitting the wrong buttons. There's Obsidat. I really want to cut Obsidat from the cube. I just feel the casting cost is so restrictive, and it's not really a necessary card for black-white. Like, all the other black-white cards that I run are just so much better, and especially now with Unburial Rights. I put Obsidat in place I never ran Unburial Rights till a couple months ago, but it's been so good that I'm trying to make my cube as restricting casting costs, where I'm not running all the double cards, double white cards, double black cards, and having them both on the same card's pretty tough. Obsidat's pretty close to unkillable when it hits play, but you actually have to cast it for that to happen. Prime Speaker's another card. My cube group would have a riot if I actually cut it, but it's another card that it's good, but it's just not needed. So I'm not surprised to see it ranked here. Mystic Snake I'm surprised to see so low. I guess just the casting cost, but I would put Mystic Snake much higher. Bogart Ramgain's only been in the cube for a short time, so this ranking is not a true representation of where it's going to actually rank. I am shocked to see Is It Charm so low. Let me scroll down here. What I'm not surprised to see is all these cheap aggro multicolor beater cards at the bottom. Flinthoof 4 is one that I just added with Bogart Ramgain, so I'm not going to pass judgment on it. But seeing Loam Line 1-drop aggro creature and Curd Ape, and then Spike Jester and aggro 2-drop, and same thing with Pride Mage, even though it's a little more value creature, and the Ramgain, just seeing all those at the bottom is very disappointing. But I'm shocked to see Is It Charm 5th from the bottom. I think that's a great card. And I guess Is It just is underdrafted because there's no reason for this card to be 5th from the bottom. There's just no reason. So overall, these rankings are okay. I guess I focus more on potential cards I'm looking to maybe cut or cards I've been really happy with. But at the top of this list, I've just seen Venser at the top is very shocking. I would definitely have Rel Zarek higher and Vindicate a little higher. Lingering Souls would be in my top 10 for sure. Close to my top 5 because I just love Lingering Souls. Just when you're in the defensive deck or the moat deck, it's so sweet. So that's a summary of my guild section, and I have 51 true guild cards, plus the lands, which I have in a separate section. But I've been very happy recently going away from the strict this many cards of Golgari, this many Is It cards, and so forth, and just going to the best cards. Now, I'm not doing anything crazy like running 2 in one guild and 8 in another, nothing that drastic. But most of the guilds, I'm 4 or 5 across the board. And like the green-white section, I've become a little more liberal with because I have a bunch of hybrid cards with Kitchen Finks and Dryad Militant. I've become a little more liberal because I wanted to add Voice of Resurgence and Eye of the Reliquary. So counting the hybrid cards as like half a card in each of their respective sections, even though I'm not exactly lined up with an equal amount in each color, that's helped me a lot to do what I want with the multicolor section. And that's what it's all about. It's not about classifications. It's about building your cube and having the sections do what you want them to do. So that's the summary of my guild sections.